Hello, this is Lazarus at telecomTech, where telecom and networking technologies are simply explained. In this video, I'd like to share with you an important approach you can use for your certification preparation. Now, most people don't fail networking certifications because they're not smart. They fail because they're not preparing in the best possible way. They memorize commands, they watch videos, they even do some labs, but when exam time comes, or worse, when they face a real problem on a production network, they struggle. So in this video, I want to give you a simple framework that can completely change the way you study for networking certifications and how you approach your career development in general. Whether it's preparing for a certification like Cisco's CCNA, CCNP, or CCIE, or certifications from CompTIA, Juniper, Microsoft, Aruba, or any other networking vendor or organization, these principles apply across the board. And not only for certifications, but also for your entire development as a network engineer. I call it the 4 L's of a network engineer's development. These are learn, lab, link, and love. And actually, there's a 5th L, a bonus, that I'll share with you at the very end. If you apply these principles consistently, you won't just pass exams, but you'll become a real and continually improving network engineer throughout your career. The first L is learn. Learning is not just memorizing commands, memorizing definitions, or passively watching videos. Learning means gaining a deep understanding of what's actually happening on the network. For example, don't just memorize OSPF uses LSAs, but ask, what problem is OSPF solving? Why does it use LSAs? What information does an LSA contain? How does that information actually flow between OSPF neighbors? How does that information also affect the behavior of the OSPF protocol? And ultimately, the routing behavior of your network topology. If you can't explain something simply, then you probably don't understand it at the appropriate level yet. And modern certifications are increasingly testing understanding, not just memorization. So for the first L, learn. Really learn. It's the difference between simply knowing something and actually mastering it. Now, to be able to achieve this first L of learn, it is necessary to apply the second L, which is lab. Lab everything, because this is where the theory you learn becomes real. The knowledge you gain becomes useful experience. You can read about VLANs all day, but until you configure them, break them, fix them, and observe how they behave on network devices, you don't truly know them. For labbing, there are many tools available. Some are free, and there are some that can be purchased, but all are quite accessible. And these include GNS3, Cisco's CML, EVE-NG, Packet Tracer, and others. But here's the key. Do a lot of labs. Tons of labs. One of the major keys to certifications is labbing again and again and again. But don't just follow the labs themselves. Experiment. Once you're done, break things on purpose. Misconfigure something. Observe the results. Because real networks are not clean and perfect. And labs train you to think and troubleshoot and adapt. They allow you to experience how network devices behave and respond to specific configurations and interactions. For labbing, as a general rule, you should spend at least as much time labbing as you do learning, if not more. So the first L, learn. The second L, lab. The next L is link. And this is the one that most people miss. Networking concepts are not isolated. They are all interconnected, interlinked, and interdependent. For example, VLANs are dependent upon and are affected by trunking. Trunking is affected by and affects Spanning Tree Protocol, or STP. STP provides a level of layer 2 redundancy. But when STP is applied, when we have first hop redundancy protocols like HSRP, we have to know how these two protocols interact. And that type of interaction is related to routing, which interacts with all of these in some way. So you see, no networking concept or mechanism operates in isolation. They're all interconnected. And if you only study topics in isolation, then you end up with fragments of knowledge that may not be as helpful in exams and in real-life production networks. Real engineers, on the other hand, think in complete systems. So always ask, how does this relate to what I already know? Where does this fit in the bigger picture with all of the other technologies and mechanisms that are in place? Devise your own labs that incorporate multiple technologies in combination, operating simultaneously to see how one affects the other. When you start linking these concepts together, then everything becomes easier to understand and easier to remember. Finally, we come to the fourth L, which is love. Now, for something like networking, this might sound unusual, but it is critical because networking is not something you learn in a weekend. It's a lifelong commitment. It takes time, dedication, repetition, devotion, persistence. And if you don't enjoy the process, if you're not passionate about the subject matter, if you don't love it, then you won't stay consistent and you won't be as good as you can be. Now, you don't have to love everything about networking, but find something you enjoy, building labs, understanding how networks work, solving problems. When you cultivate that curiosity, that interest, that passion, let it grow on you, because that is what carries you through the difficult moments, and that is what helps you to achieve your goals. That deep, wonderful feeling of accomplishment and success that you get when you understand a concept, when you resolve an issue, when you achieve your goals is the most rewarding part of being a network engineer. So let's summarize. Learn, understand deeply, and master concepts. Lab, turn knowledge into skill with practical application. Link, think in linked and interconnected systems. And finally, love. Stay consistent by maintaining excitement and passion. And now, the fifth L, and that's Lazarus at telecomTech. If you're listening to this, then it's likely that some of my content has been helpful for you, and that truly makes me happy. Through my YouTube channel and through the content on my website, maybe I've been able to help you a little bit to be an inspiration in some way in some of these areas. And if so, I feel privileged. And if I can continue to be part of your networking journey, then that truly gives me the motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. If you haven't already done so, check out the course offerings I have on my website, as well as my other YouTube videos on this channel. Links and information can be found in the description below. Hopefully, if I haven't done so yet, I too can become a part of your journey in your networking certification path, as well as your career advancement. This is Lazarus at telecomTech. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'd like to thank you for watching.